Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to another Guild Wars 2 PvP build. We're on Warrior this time. It's been a long time since I've gotten on a Warrior itself actually, but after the seasonal patch update, Warrior got a pretty big buff through its survivability, and just that was mainly the main reason it came back into the meta, but it's basically survivability. And yeah, so Warrior is in a pretty good spot right now. You'll see quite a few Warriors in the meta. And I made this Condi build for it. There's many Condi Warrior builds out there right now, so I'm not going to say like, oh, this is the one and only Condi build and all that shit, but it's very strong, very fun to play, and gives you a lot of survivability, sustain, damage mitigation, reflects, CC, point pressure, Condi pressure, power pressure, all that stuff. So, let's open up. This is my stuff. A lot of people always ask what my armor is and stuff, so here it is. Nightmare gear, some toxic gear, and primeval armor, and the ascended stuff, and the ascension back piece. And we got our super adventure box skins and all that. So, into the traits, we have strength, defense, and berserker, so I'll get to that in a minute. First of all, we take Mace Torch. Mace is for the reflex, the daze, the pretty strong F1 skill that applies a lot of condis while you're in. What's it called? It's called Skull Grinder, so let's get to that one. So here's your primal burst skill while using a mace. You apply 4 bleeds, 4 confusion, cripple, you remove condis, you gain endurance, it's a blast finisher, deals a fair bit of power damage as well, and they're blind, so overall a really strong skill, that's why we take the mace. Number 2, auto attack pressure is pretty weak with the mace. Number 2 skill reflects missiles and does a fair bit of damage. This is the Daze. Daze is really good with this build. Any type of CC is really strong in the build. I'll get to that in a minute. Then Blaze Breaker. So here we go. This is basically it's just a Condi skill. It applies ticking conditions, burning and cripple, and it is a deadly shockwave that does a fair bit of power damage as well. Then Flames of War, a bit of a defensive and defensive skill. So you cleanse conditions, and you place a small fire field around yourself, which applies burning, and then it explodes after 5 seconds, applying more burning. So I'll show that off in a bit, of course. Then we take Longbow, of course, Longbow 2, a lot of burning damage, that's 3k every 6 seconds, plus the power damage. Arcing Arrow is really big damage when it crits, that's why we're on Intel Sigil. Then Smouldering Arrow is what I like to open with whenever I switch to Longbow, because it poisons them and it blinds them, so that's pretty strong there. Then Pin Down as well, you've got to make sure you land this skill. A lot of Immobilize and Bleeding, very good Condi pressure. And the Longbow F1, what's it called? It's called Scorched Earth. So this just puts a big long fire field down that ticks burning and removes conditions and all that. Then onto utilities, we take Wild Blow, mainly for the CC. It removes these conditions, does a fair bit of damage, and they can knock back other foes as well if you play it properly. So gives you a bit of adrenaline as well. I was running Stomp before, again another CC. Launch is really strong right now because while someone's down you just launch them away, and yeah. Again, a CC works really well with the build, I'll get to that in a second. Double stances, Endure Pain and Berserker stance, that's for the defensive utility. If you're not versing a Condi heavy team, so if you're versing like many power enemies on the enemy team, even though that rarely happens because everyone plays Condi now, you can take this last stand trait, so your stances are a bit better, and you get a passive balanced stance proc. What did I get hit by? What the hell? So then, for the Mace Torch, we take Doom and Geo for the Condi pressure, of course. Longbow is Doom for the poison with the Longbow 4, and Intel for the big crits with the Longbow 3. Then Berserker Rune for the big damage bonus, that's basically all it is. Mercenary Amulet, so for the power and condition damage, and also we have really high toughness and vitality. Why are we still in combat? Who knows. So that's that. Then onto the traits, we're in strength, we take Death from Above, so there's basically nothing else you can take here. You can take, using a heal skill grants might, I guess, if you really want to. This is up to you, personal preference. We don't take any physical skills, so that's useless. I guess you could work around with that in certain maps, but whatever. Then, burst skills restore endurance on hit, so endurance is your dodging get a bit of dodging back. Then body blow, so every time you CC, stun, daze, knockback, pull, launch, it inflicts bleeding and weakness. So this has no internal cooldown, so you can chain all your CCs. There's pummel bash, then there's your F1, then there's your berserk mode, and what's it called? The wild blow, the headbutt. That's all we have here, and that's really strong. Then every time you interrupt someone, you gain confusion, so most likely when you CC you will get an interrupt off. It's a fair bit of confusion as well. Since this skill causes confusion when you interrupt, and where is it? Skull Grinder is a daze. You can get like 8 stacks of confusion, 6 stacks of bleed and all that with just one skill, which makes it really powerful for the Condi burst. Then defense, we have shield, reflects missiles when you're blocking, gain might when you block an attack, or reflect missiles when you're blocking, sorry, so that's why our Mace 2 reflects projectiles. You can also take Dog and March if you want, or even Call the Weak. Any of these are good options. I really like to take this skill to kind of play around Dragon Hunters, True Shot, or Kill Shot, Gunflame, Warriors, things like that. Then Adrenal Health, the main component of the build, or the main sustain. So we actually tick 491 health per second as long as we're like in combat and using our adrenaline skills, which we will be. So this is a really good source of survivability, 491 health per second. On top of our 382 heal, really strong. It's actually 381. This tooltip is wrong, but whatever. And then the passive Endure Pain proc, of course, extra survivability. You can also take this, but I don't really like to take it. It's a bit of a waste. So the passive Endure Pain proc, Balanced Stance. You take Last Stand if you're versing a power heavy team, and Cleansing Ire if you're versing a Condi heavy team. So switch that trade out on the go. Then in Berserker we take Activating Berserk Mode, breaks stuns and removes conditions. So stun break and condition clear. Really good in combination with headbutt, so you headbutt into instantly Berserk. Show that off here. And we get a big Condi bomb on the enemy. You see that there. And he's dead, so yeah. And then when he's down we can launch him away. Except the wall stopped him there, but yeah. If you want to take Smash Brawler, you really can, it's up to you, or even Last Blaze, but the pressure from Last Blaze isn't high enough that I would recommend it. Then, reduces recharge on torch skills, and while you're holding a torch you gain extra condition damage. You can also take Dead or Alive, but it has a very long internal cooldown, and I don't really see it have much play. Like, it doesn't often happen, and when it actually does, it'll probably be on cooldown, so yeah. Then King of Fires is mainly taken for the burning duration, but it's a pretty cool trait, so gain Fire Aura when you critically hit an enemy, so that's the intelligence sigil there. And Berserker skills detonate Fire Aura, damaging and burning nearby foes. So once you have a Fire Aura on you, try and use a Berserker skill, and it'll kind of pop a lot of burning on somebody. So, main rotations, you range with Longbow, and when someone comes up close to you, you switch over and you use your torch skills. Save Torch 5 for a Condi clear if you can. Headbutt into Berserk is a very strong opener against pretty much any class. This build is very strong. It excels in like 2v2s, 3v3s, 4v4s, and 5v5 team fights, even though that's not very common these days. It's not very strong in the 1v1 department unless you're versing a class with no Condi clears, like Rev. Rev has barely any. You can kill Necros very easily if they don't get a transfer off on you, but if they do, you're pretty much dead if you don't have your resistance up. This build also has a lot of resistance, so you can play around with that nicely. But look at that, Condi pressure is just beautiful. And let's just take some damage to show off our sustain. Yeah, so the healing Signet, Adrenal Health, we just tick back up really quickly. So then onto the Mesmer. Daze him there. Get this burning around us. Headbutt. He's dead as well. And if I show off the Berserker Mace skill there, so yeah, 8 confusion, 6 bleeds, is amazing. Crazy Condi damage. It just ticks really high, ticks really well. A lot of sustain. Whenever you get a downed enemy, you want to knock them away with a wild blow. Try and wait for a Druid Search and Rescue. Try and land your skills on multiple targets, don't just focus one guy. Don't chase off point, make sure your rotations are good. Don't run into fights you can't win, like Condi Mes would probably beat you, unless you can really land your skills on them and they're not very good. But yeah, make use of the headbutt. Very powerful skill. And there we go. Let's launch him now that he's down. The launch actually also does a lot of damage, so there's that. Mace auto attack does like nothing, so I'd prefer you not to do that, but you can do it if you have to. So yeah, that's pretty much the build. Here is the stuff once again, and showed off some rotations and all that. And yeah, so that's the build. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Have fun with it. Practice it in unranked now while you can, and then take it into ranked next season, see how that goes. Hopefully Warrior will become more back in meta. There's also some pretty strong Warrior power builds with Demolisher Amulet and even Destroyer Amulet. But yeah, thanks for watching. Hope to see you guys next time, and subscribe for more videos.